All right, welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always ready to explore.
Well, today we're tackling a topic that's been requested a lot, mountains.
Oh, excellent choice.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about, how they form, the different types, even how they've played a part in art and history. I think it's going to be fascinating.
It really is. I mean, mountains might seem like these, permanent fixtures, but they're constantly changing and evolving. We're going to learn all about that.
Exactly. So let's start with the basics. For someone who's maybe never really thought about mountains, how would you define what a mountain is?
So basically, a mountain is a landform, a really big one, that rises way higher than the land around it, much, much higher than a hill, for
Right,
instance.
so it's that height that really makes it a mountain.
Exactly.
Okay, so what creates these massive towering structures? Like what kind of forces are at work here?
Well, the real action is happening way beneath the surface of the Earth. You see, the Earth's crust, it's not one solid piece. It's broken up into these giant plates called tectonic plates.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of those. It's like a giant jigsaw puzzle, right?
That's a great way to think about it. And these puzzle pieces, they're always moving very slowly, but they're moving.
So how does that movement create mountains?
Well, sometimes those plates, they crash right into each other. That's called a convergent boundary. And when they collide, all that force, it has to go somewhere.
So it pushes the land upwards.
You got it. And that's how some of the most impressive mountain ranges on Earth were formed, like the Himalayas, where Mount Everest is.
Wow, so those massive peaks are basically wrinkles in the Earth's crust.
You can think of it that way, yeah. And it's not just the Himalayas, it's also the Alps in Europe, the Andes in South America. Lots of mountain ranges form this way.
That's incredible. So we've got these tectonic plates colliding, creating fold mountains. What other types of mountains are there?
Oh, there are a few others, each with their own unique formation process. We have fault block mountains, where giant blocks of rock basically tilt and drop, creating those sharp cliffs and steep slopes.
I'm trying to picture that like uh, kind of like a seesaw almost.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. Think of the Sierra Nevada mountains in California. Those are a great example of fault block mountains.
Okay, so we've got folds and faults. What else?
Well, there are also dome mountains formed when magma, that's molten rock beneath the surface, pushes up on the crust but doesn't actually erupt.
So like a giant bubble and fleeting under the Earth's surface.
Exactly. It creates these rounded, dome-shaped mountains, and of course, we can't forget about volcanic mountains.
Oh, right. Those are formed from, well, volcanoes.
Yep, built up over time from layers of lava and ash.
It's amazing how many different ways mountains can form.
Yeah.
It's like uh, nature has this whole toolbox of techniques.
It really is.
So, we've talked about the science behind mountains, but there are also these like powerful symbols in art and culture. Why do you think that is?
I think it's because they represent something bigger than ourselves. They're these enduring, majestic features that have been around for millions of years. They inspire awe and they challenge us.
Yeah, I can see that. They've been featured in paintings, stories, poems, music, all throughout history.
And it's not just about their beauty, but also their symbolism. They often represent strength, permanence, the power of nature. Think about how often mountains are used in logos or emblems to represent stability or resilience.
Right. It's like they embody something timeless and enduring. And they've also shaped history in very real ways, haven't they? Like geographically.
Absolutely. They can create natural borders between regions, even countries. The Alps, for example, have played a huge role in shaping the history and culture of Europe.
So even though they seem so static, they've actually influenced how civilizations have developed.
Exactly. And they've posed challenges too. Think about the people who live in mountainous areas. They've had to adapt to a very different way of life, building their homes and communities around these challenging landscapes.
It makes you appreciate their resilience and resourcefulness.
Definitely. But even though they seem permanent, mountains are always changing.
Oh, right. You mentioned that at the beginning.
Yeah, they're constantly being shaped by forces like erosion, wind, rain, ice. They all slowly wear away at the rock, carving out valleys and canyons.
It's like a very, very slow sculpture.
A great way to put it. And of course, the tectonic plates are still moving, so mountains can continue to rise or even change shape.
So they're really dynamic, even if we don't see those changes happening in real time.
Exactly.
Well, I feel like we've covered a lot of ground today.
We've climbed quite a few peaks, metaphorically speaking.
We've learned how mountains are formed by these incredible forces, that there are different types, and that they're constantly changing over time. And they're not just geological wonders, they've inspired art, shaped history, and continue to challenge and fascinate us.
That's right. So the next time you see a mountain, remember, it's a snapshot in time, a moment in a journey that began millions of years ago, a journey that's still unfolding.
That's a great way to think about it. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of mountains. And remember to keep exploring the world with curiosity.
Always.